All right. So our second part today, we're interviewing Lieutenant Wes Harold here. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the career paths of going through the Lexington Fire Department. We're just going to let him take the lead here. Officer Harold.
Thank you. Wes Harold. Been on 22 years with the Lexington Fire Department. Just like everybody else, I went, took a test, passed everything required, and luckily got on first time. So here I am 22 years later, still blessed to be a part of this great organization. And today I'm riding Engine 13. So Engine 13 is one of 4 trucks in our fleet here at the Lexington Fire Department that would be considered a rescue engine. So we do a little bit more than most of the engine companies here in Lexington. We respond to trench rescue, confined space, swift water, structural collapse. There's a number of specialties that we would respond to. So what I'll do first off is explain to you a little bit about where I ride, which is on this side right here. So the way I start in the morning is I come in, I put my gear right away in place, and I check my breathing apparatus. So anytime we go into an IDLH atmosphere, which is a bad atmosphere, you have to have air. You have to have air to breathe. So we have to check that SCBA every single morning to make sure it's functioning correctly. And on top of that, we have to make sure that the mask that we wear is functioning correctly too. So a number of things that we have to do each morning. As soon as we get here, we have to go through the truck, make sure that we're still familiar with our compartments, what's in each compartment. We as a crew, we'll talk about the day ahead and what's lying ahead, if we have any training, if we have any details that we have to make. So we're tight as a crew from 07 to 07 the next day. So it's a 24-hour shift, and then we're off for 2 days, unless of course we pick up overtime. But most of the time, you're on 24 and you're off 48. So what I'd like to do now is let the driver of the day, Nick Robbins, talk a little bit about what he does when he comes in.
Hey guys, my name's Nick Robbins. I've been on for 8 years now with Lexington Fire. Like Lieutenant Harold, I was fortunate to get hired on the first time. So as the driver today, I'm in charge of the truck from the time I get here until I go home. So first thing I do in the morning, like Lieutenant Harold, I'll come in and put all my gear on the truck just so that if we catch an early run or before the guy that I'm relieving gets up to get his stuff off the truck, I'm ready to jump on and go. So normally checking the truck off, of course you got to make sure you've got fuel. The newer diesel engines all run on DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. Make sure we've got enough DEF in the tank. Go through and set my stuff up, my personal gear, the way I like it, as far as having a pair of leather gloves, safety glasses, sunglasses, everything that I'll need or could need while I'm driving. Next thing I'll go through and check the pump. Usually just the way that our daily routine is, I wait till we get out in the morning. We'll come in, eat breakfast, go work out and get some training in. And once we get out of the day is when I'll check the pump, just because we don't want it running with the exhaust system we've got to help suck the exhaust fumes out of the station. We don't want it running for very long while we're on that. So once we get to where we're working out, I'll fire the pump up and check it, and that's just what's pushing water out of the truck when we have a fire. After that, I'll go through and start checking all the compartments, like Lieutenant Harold said, making sure I'm still familiar with what we have, making sure, like the stay dry, what we put down when we have car accidents, making sure the buckets and that keeps our stay dry, making sure that kind of stuff is still full. We don't have to top anything off, and we're ready to jump in and make a run when we have to. Beyond that, as the driver, I've still got an SCBA cylinder, still have an air pack. Depending on what order we get to a fire, I may still be jumping off the truck, packing up and going with the guys for an assignment from the incident commander, whatever we're going to be doing. Like Lieutenant Harold said, if we're doing RIT, or if we're being a rescue truck, we also do RIT. which is a rapid intervention team, that's the way the firefighters stay safe. If we have a guy that goes down, the RIT team gets activated and we go get the guy that's either lost, trapped, something's happened inside where he can't make his way back out under his own power, or needs just a little bit of help to get there. So on a RIT fire, if we're assigned as the RIT engine for a fire, I'll be packing up and going with them as soon as we hit the ground or get on scene. We'll hit the ground running and do what we need to do for that. Beyond that, like I said, I'm in charge of the truck all day. So when we catch a run, I'm driving. So you've got to be familiar with the area that you're working in. You've got to be familiar with your truck and how it handles. For instance, we just got new tires on the front of this truck 2 weeks ago. Prior to that, you had to really be careful about how close you're following vehicles, making sure you've got a safe following distance, making sure you've got enough room to stop, just like in your personal vehicle if the road conditions are bad. So just knowing the finicky things about your own apparatus or what you're driving for the day. And a lot of that comes from the pass off and shift change with the guy that drove the previous day. If anything new or anything weird's going on, you'll hear about it from him. But like I said, once we get on scene, if we're the first or second truck there, typically the engine, if you're first or second in on an engine, you're going to be handling water supply. The first in truck obviously is going to be right in front of the house, pumping hand lines and getting water to the guys inside, whereas the second in guy, if you don't have a hydrant right on top of the first in engine, you're looking for where's my closest hydrant at, and you're laying a supply line usually from the attack engine to the hydrant to make sure that we've got a positive water supply. Most of our engines carry 1,000 gallons of water on them. Some are at 750, some of the older trucks still have 750. But most of them now have 1,000 gallons, and if we're flowing 150 to 200 gallons a minute, you've only got a few minutes before you're out of water completely. So it's a time-sensitive issue for us. So it's one of those things that you've got to be competent with. Typically, it's one of those, as soon as we drop the hose, your officer and the guy that's riding in the back is going to go to incident command and get a job. So you're doing water by yourself. So it's something you've got to be comfortable with, and it all comes down to knowing your job. But it's a great job. I wouldn't want to do anything else. It's the best job most people never knew they wanted. If you guys are interested in the path, definitely stop by Firehouse. Come talk to any of us. We'll talk. Give you a cup of coffee if you want coffee. We'll talk to you, show you the truck, ask us all the questions you have. And so most guys on this job they'll give you the shirt off their back if you ask them for it. So come by, ask us questions, and we'll answer everything we can. If we don't know the answer, we'll either make something up that sounds good, or we'll find somebody that can tell you. Okay? So, good luck to you guys.
Hey, I'm Kelly Harris. I've been on the job for 8 years. Been on Engine 13 for 3 years. I'm not going to be as detailed as Nick was. I'm going to kind of hit the main points on RIT. Nick mentioned earlier that we are a RIT engine. We are one of 4 RIT trucks in the city, 8, 9, 12, and 13. RIT stands for Rapid Intervention Team. And basically what that means is if there's a working fire in the city, one of those 4 trucks are going to respond and be a safety team that's there for firefighters only. So while there's other crews that are inside fighting a fire, we're outside maintaining our orientation of what's happening on the inside, trying to make the outside safer for the companies inside. We're shutting down power so nobody gets electrocuted. We're shutting down gas meters so we don't have to worry about any sort of gas lines exploding or catching fire. We're forcing doors that maybe somebody needs to get out of. We're throwing ladders to windows, second stories, roof lines, all that kind of stuff. Providing additional resources or ways for people to get out of the house should something happen. On a RIT activation, what that means is if there's been any kind of a mayday, if a firefighter has gotten disoriented and lost, separated from his crew, if there's been a building collapse and they can't get out, if they've fallen through a floor and they now need help getting out, we are that team that's going to go in and get them. So there's going to be a mayday declared, and then we're going to gather our tools and go in and try to get them out. One of the things that we use is going to be a RIT bag. So you've probably seen that whenever we're inside of a smoky environment, all firefighters wear an air pack and they've got a mask and they're breathing their own self-contained air so we don't have to expose ourselves to all the elements inside the house. This bag is an extra cylinder of air that we can use to provide the fireman who's down in case he needs more air. It also has a set of cutters and a Bible strap. We have a strap that we can use in order to hook to the firefighter and drag them out if we need to. Or we have a set of cutters here if they're entangled in wires, cable wires, electric wires, things like that. We can use cutters to get them out. Beyond the rip pack, we will be taking out our own personal tools. We carry Halligans so that we can break doors, punch holes in walls, whatever. And special types of axes that we can use to do the same kind of thing. That's pretty much a low down and dirty of what Rick does.
So again, Lieutenant Harold and your team, just want to say thank you so much for giving us the time. I got a lot of students and I got a couple of young people that I'm gonna be pushing towards Mr. Gertie. And we want to show appreciation for all of you all, the work that you've done for us. And thank you all for stepping in on us because we had a couple of COVID situations happen. So we had to make a lot of changes. So we appreciate all of you all for your time and hope to see you all again.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.